come in here. And when we look at this team, Raj, they're doing so many things right in terms of what it is. And you see Carlos Dominguez coming out here. He'll lead things off today. This is a guy that really has found the power stroke. 11 homers total for him. Offense has hardly been the problem for this Cardinals team this year. The pitching's been good, offense has been good, but it's late game situations that have undone them a bit. So it'll be interesting to see if they can give themselves a little breathing room as this one goes along.
Well, it seems to be the MO should be score 11 runs and take a big lead and hang on in the ninth. They have not been able to season, but now 4 back of first. Look at Guelph, just a half game back. And the Barrie Baycats, despite their struggles recently, are just a game and a half back of the Hamilton Cardinals. So the Cardinals, Brent, are trying to fend off Guelph and Barrie. Still time to try and catch London and Welland, but now it's more about avoid that play-in game at all costs. And they really want to take advantage of the games here in Hamilton because they've been excellent in this ballpark.
Just can't drive home that point enough. Both
to the games here in Hamilton because they've been excellent in this ballpark.
Just can't drive home that point enough. Both these teams, Guelph with a little bit of a mid-season rebrand as well. We'll talk about that as the night goes on. But we will now step away for the national anthem tonight, and we'll be back with baseball after this.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all lands wide. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Tonight, that certainly helps. You want to round into form at the right time, and it does seem like Owen Boone is doing exactly that. He has gone 7 innings in each of his last 2 starts, one of those coming against Guelph. So anytime you can go to the reigning league MVP in what is not a must-win, but definitely a should-win here tonight, got to feel like you're in a pretty good spot.
Oh, I'll call it a must-win for sure with the standings as tight as they are, and of course avoiding that play-in game. Boone having another terrific season, that ERA of 2.81 on the mound, and he didn't win the MVP by accident.
No, he certainly didn't. The no-no along the way, that would help you. But you also look at what he's done, and as I mentioned, one of those starts coming against Guelph. Each of the last 2 starts have been right here. I'll let you know what he's facing. Ryan Dos Santos leads the CBL in walks. He's in left. Anthony Gilbert at short. Franklin Torres is your catcher. Garrett Takamatsu is the DH and cleanup hitter. Miguel Geraldo at second. Nathaniel Ochoa at third. Connor Morrow at first. Anthony Leader in right field at 8. And Ashton Patterson, the center fielder, will be the 9 hitter for Guelph in their home whites, red caps on. And we see the navy blue out of Guelph with the gray pants tonight. It's Dos Santos against Boone to get us started. Boone starts it off with a nice swinging strike. Got to feel confident to start things off here. Barrero and Reyes, the corner infielders here, and a little bit. Barrero backing up now. Reyes in at the corner at third, and Boone is going to work quickly. It's something you'll notice all night long, and he works quickly, picking up a couple of strikes to start the game.
Starting with strikes, setting the tone here. Boone,
Cardinals infield, throws it around. Got to be a dream playing behind a guy like this who works quick and is going to be in the zone. And just because it's in the zone doesn't mean you're going to be all that busy. It's got to be quite a thing for anybody playing defense behind Owen Boone.
3 different pitches, very impressive first out recorded by the former MVP.
See the native London right-hander facing his first righty of the night, and man, he is spotting his pitches tonight. 4th pitch, 4th strike for Owen Boone. And as you mentioned, Raj, not a guy that has to be a strikeout pitcher to be. As you can see, he is unafraid to mix pitches and doing it effectively. If this is any indication of what's to come, could be a tough night for Guelph at the dish.
All around the plate he is, and very sharp here in the early going.
There's Boone once again, just mowing them down. early on in this one. Now, they haven't had to do anything yet, but let's see how the Cardinals are stacked up behind Owen Boone tonight. Here is the outfield. It's Champ Gardner, who is a deadline pickup. He's in left. Tyler Duncan in center. And team leader in homers, Carlos Dominguez, is in right. How the infield sets up, it's Herman at second, Nickel at short. You got Reyes at third, and Barrero is at first base. And Evan
Ball's first 8 pitches, 2 strikeouts.
It's impressive stuff, and he is 1 pitch away from getting out of this inning extremely cleanly.
Well, you talk about the defense not having to be on their toes. Well, you always got to be on your toes. But when Boone's got the stuff going and the mojo going, nobody better in the CBL still, last year and this year.
Yeah, reigning MVP, obviously, didn't start the season maybe in quite the same form, but he's really rounding into it here. And again, if he can carry any of what he's seen through the start of this game deeper into it, it was electric stuff from Owen Boone, and a great play by the third baseman, Rainy Reyes, to finish off the inning there.
Reyes with a very good play. That play was a lot tougher maybe than it looked. Took a short hop on him. He had to cut across the diamond to make the throw, and a nice scoop up as well at first base to complete that play. So yes, the defense was there when Boone needed it. He threw 1 ball in that first inning, Brent, 2 strikeouts and a ground out to start inning number 1. Just what the doctor orders for the Cardinals.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how pitch counts evolve in this game. Guelph played a long game last night, 12 innings. You wonder what that does to their pen. Obviously, managers are understanding of what they have to do at this time of year, but there's also a lot that's going to be asked of them, including out of this guy, Elvin Lirian's ball, though, 7-2. You forget those other numbers. Just looking at 7-2, you got to love that.
I was just going to say, Brent, you don't see starting pitchers. You don't see anybody with a lot of wins in baseball these days, and this is only a 48-game season, and we got a 7-2 versus a 5-1 tonight. So these guys work deep into games. They're not afraid of the workload. Liriano has been a mainstay on the staff this year and a big part of Guelph's success. We'll see what he's got tonight against this lineup.
And here is how Hamilton lines it up. As I mentioned, Dominguez, he's really rounding into form. He's in the leadoff spot tonight in right field. Tyler Duncan behind him in center. In right field, Tyler Duncan behind him in center. Darlin Herman, the second baseman, but he's up around 400 this year. Is Trevor Nickel in a pretty limited sample size. Busy weekend for the Cards. They got games all 3 days. That's how you're going to close that gap in games played that they have with the other teams at the top. So you're certainly going to see Luis Bernardo really lean on the depth he has at his disposal, and maybe you're seeing some of that with how he lines it up tonight.
Well, this Hamilton team has great depth as well. We've seen it in their lineup. The offense has been great. Overall, Brent, you can't ask for much more. In their lineup, the offense has been great. Overall, Brent, you can't ask for much more than what the Cardinals have done most of the year. Near the top in hitting and pitching and defense, just about
all of them this year. The last time they bounced back with a fury, winning 6 straight. So obviously the Cardinals would love to pick that up. We'll see if Liriano can pick up in the form Boone was on, and he cannot with a first pitch ball leaking a little arm side. Dominguez watching that one.
Got to be careful with Dominguez, of course, has great power, can hit to all fields.
Yeah, you do not want to leave one hanging for him, that's for sure. And, I made this observation seemingly every game. Why would I stop now? There is the 3-time reigning home run derby champ on this team all the way there, and you can understand why, starting with 3 straight balls. And that's the other thing with this Hamilton lineup. They can be free swingers at times, but also, are more than happy to take the walk if it's available, and Dominguez would have been happy to do that. He watches the 3-0 pitch to bring it to 3-1. There's a strike at the top of the zone. It's the only problem with the auto take at 3-0 is all of a sudden you can find yourself in a full count like Dominguez does right here. Here comes the 3-2 pitch from Liriano, staring in at Dominguez. Calling for time. Didn't like a lot. Not a bad idea. There's Dominguez watching the 3-2. Swinging over the top of a breaking pitch there, and Liriano battling back after falling behind 3-0. He picks up a strikeout to the first batter he faces in the game, and that leads the way to a guy who's been leadoff hitter for plenty of this season. Center fielder, the aforementioned Derby champ. Here is Tyler Duncan, the lefty, facing the lefty tonight.
Duncan not having the home run type of season he's accustomed to, but having a very good season at the bat nonetheless. And you mentioned the Royals coming off a tough one last night. 12
it is nice to get in the playoffs. You want that. You really want to be one of those top 3 teams and guarantee yourself a series as opposed to the one-game playoff. Duncan, after taking strike 1, watching ball 1 way outside there, the breaking ball just missing low and away.
You know, it's been a great first CBL season, Brent, but boy, the standings have really been divided at the playoff line as we get deep in here.
There's a pitch to Duncan, swinging over top of the breaking ball in a similar location to the first pitch of the at-bat. Falls behind 1 and 2. You know, there's been the separation.
Throws in there, strike 3, so 2 out. Go back to that game against London. If Hamilton wins that game, they're a game back of the majors. Now it's 4 games back. Well, let's see how London stacks up.
Very, very different game. Yeah, there's Ryan De Los Santos, Ashton Peterson in the outfield. Your infield has Ochoa, Gilbert, Geraldo, and Morrow around the horn. Well, it's Liriano on the bump, and Franklin Torres is your catcher, the other half of the battery for Guelph tonight. Here's Darlin Herman trying to extend the inning for the Cardinals. And you're right, the separation, you've really kind of seen it, but there's still so much baseball. And with the Cardinals having the games they have in hand, there's obviously a lot the Cardinals can control here. Herman shooting one. It's going to go first base, scooped up. Going to be a tough play, but he gets over there, makes the out at first, and that is a 1-2-3 inning. Looked exact opposite of how the 1-2-3 inning for the Cardinals looked when they were on the defensive side of things, but same teams have the exact same thing to show for when you're done there. Nothing, and nothing going on the score line after 1 inning here at the Arbor. Liriano doing it a very different way, but the box score looks pretty similar to what Owen Boone ended with.
He recovered nicely. We talked Boone only threw 1 ball in the inning. Liriano got behind on the counts, but worked back into it, and a nice job at pitching the season around for the Cardinals. There was an opportunity there for them to really close in on London, and I think the 2 losses on the weekend kind of refocus yourself and saying, all right, there is still time, but they're running out of time to make sure they get in the top 3.
Yeah, running out of time for that. Not running out of time for the 50-50 raffle in support of the Cancer Assistance Program. Not at the park tonight. Doesn't matter. You can still get in on the fun. Scan the QR code. I believe they're selling them until the 7th inning, so you got some time, but why wait? Scan the QR code and get in their own way. I mean, even you look at a team like the Leafs, hardly having the year they want, but you've got the threat of all threats with Yasiel Puig and his 19 homers for them.
Puig is almost impossible to get out these days, except when he plays against the Hamilton Cardinals. He is not homered against the Cardinals this season. The Leafs are here Sunday, and the Cardinals will like to keep that going. But that separation has been pronounced. That all said, Brantford has stayed hot enough that Barrie has not officially clinched the playoff spot. They will,
yes,
of course, with the lead they have. But my point is, Brent, the idea was to create a playoff chase, and then for that sudden death game, that's really the only thing that is now in.
With him, much the same way we were talking about a guy like Dominguez, you do not want to leave one in a happy zone to a guy like Takamatsu.
Boone has still only thrown 1 ball here, and we're in the top of the 2nd inning.
Yeah, you wonder how long that continues. I mean, if straight up attack mode is working,
it just
why would
ended.
you go away from it? That's your fault, though. You know, I look at it though, and I mean, if you have so much success in the zone, why would you go away from it? But at a certain point in time, that sets you up to do basically whatever you want. You imagine you're going to get guys in a bit more of a
presence out there. You know he's going to chew up some innings for you. He is an MVP in every sense of the word, and they're going to need him not just tonight, but the rest of the way into the playoffs.
Takamatsu flaring one off. That'll go foul on the right side.
Can you imagine winning 30 games in this league and you might not even get a home playoff game? That could be the scenario. Like, wow.
Yeah, it is. It is not easy to make the playoffs, and it is not easy to climb into that top 3. And that's why the Cardinals really do not want to let, wither away what they've developed in the early part of this season. You know, the other thing about Boone working as efficiently as the games, if you can shrink the roll of that pen and keep letting a guy like Owen Boone feast, or Hector Yan when he's having a strong start like he is wont to do, just makes life a little easier on your manager as well.
Well, there's no doubt about that. And the best recipe for a tired bullpen is have starters pitch deep into games.
Sure is. You see Boone, it's probably the most one's got away from him there. Another ball, 2 in the inning. What has gotten into this guy,
Twice
Raj?
as many balls in this inning as he did in the entire first inning. Yes, he has been efficient with the pitches tonight.
Certainly has. A bit of Barrero so far with 5 outs recorded thus far in the game for Hamilton.
You don't need much of a defense when you're striking out, throwing strikes, and that's exactly what Boone is. Routine grounder to third there for the second out of the inning.
You know, throwing it around the infield gets pretty important there. You know, you don't want Herman and Nickel falling asleep, forgetting what they went through in their warm-up there. Been a while since they've been active in this one, but I know they'd be more than happy to continue to sign up for this. And there it is, Owen Boone right in the ship with a first pitch strike for him. And, you know, there's a lot to like about a lot of pitchers. You know, so many traits, so many ways you can go about it. One of my favorite things to watch in any pitcher, specifically a starter though, is a guy that just wants to corner off the ball game. It's a single up the middle off Owen Boone.
So Ochoa gets on the board, and that ends a 5-out streak by Boone. 3 Ks so far in the game and a couple of grounders to third. And that brings Andy Leader to the plate. And we'll see if Guelph, how Guelph plays this, because, you know, Boone is such a dominant pitcher. Your offensive game plan sometimes, even early in the game, is to play for a run. Now there's 2 outs here, a little different, of course, but we'll see how aggressive Guelph is on the base path.
Point of running into outs either. So, yeah, a lot to think about with this from Guelph. Healthy lead at first. Boone obviously aware of the thought process we're thinking of there. It gives him something to think about. Shooting one over to first. Barrero able to pick it, but unable to make the tag in time. Not that the ball was there.
Well, another thing that does is kind of force Boone to slow down. When you're a runner taking a big lead, he's got to pay attention to the guy at first base. Deliberate strategy there. I won't be surprised if he's going.
He's at least trying to get in Boone's head for sure. It's one of the things I've commended Boone on the most. Not that you want to ignore a runner at first, but I do feel like when he's been in spots like this with the out that could get him out of the inning at the plate, he's done a great job of just kind of siloing off that runner at first. You can't hurt me as long as I take care of my business up here. And it does feel like that's the mode Boone is operating in here. And when it's fouled back, we'll do it all again at 0-2.
I don't think there's any doubt we will see tonight Guelph will be aggressive on the base pass and will be playing for runs because they will be at a premium tonight. They've got a lot of faith in Liriano as a starter. He's been the workhorse on this team, as we talked about earlier. So to match Boone, anytime you got a strikeout pitcher, he can get his outs efficiently as well.
Yeah, he can do it just about any way you want to. Generally speaking, you're going to be a league MVP. You've got to have several different courses of action. And how about freezing him with a pitch on the outside? That's exactly what Owen Boone does. It is another strikeout for the reigning MVP and Cardinals righty. He strands the runner at first, and we are off to the bottom of second here at Bernie Arbor as Owen Boone and the Cardinals continue to cruise from a defensive perspective. Now time to get the bats going for the Cards.
4 Ks for Boone in the first 2 innings, just a handful of balls among his pitches in those first 2 innings. A single up the middle, the only damage done. That's a very efficient inning and a half from Owen Boone, and that's the kind of performances they're going to need from out of the back end of that bullpen. That's something to keep an eye on tonight, and especially once again, 3 games, 3 days to schedule. 7 games still to play for the Cards, and this season's only got 2 weeks in it. Be fascinating to see how Bernardo uses the bullpen and who he uses in the high leverage situations tonight.
Yeah, fascinating equation for sure there. I mean, I think coming into the year, beginning of the year, very much felt like Stephen Hospital was going to be that guy. That's still a guy they do go to in leverage spots, but also with Frazis Adames now in the mix. Obviously, there are a lot of different names, and sometimes that's a beautiful thing to have if you're a manager. But you'd really love to have one you just know to throw over in any given time. And yes, it'll be fascinating to see. But also with the 3 games this weekend, I would think if the Cardinals are going to be winning more than their fair share of them, it's going to require more than 1 or 2 trusted arms back there. We'll see how that evolves as the game goes here. And here's Nickel in the cleanup spot tonight, taking ball 1 to start things off.
Nickel having an excellent season for the Cards and this balanced lineup. Changes or
pulls him out of, you never really know. And I've talked to him about this, you know, the idea of a guy like Duncan trying to find the right spot in the lineup for him. Obviously righty lefty can lean into all these things, but you know, a guy like Nickel in a cleanup spot, obviously not your prototypical cleanup hitter. He is second in the league, or tied for second in the league in doubles, super high average. You can understand how it makes sense, but yeah, you see Bernardo still kind of searching for answers when it comes to how he's putting his lineup together.
Well, it's a matter of options. I think matchups has a lot to do with it too, Brent, and he's not afraid to, and we've seen it with Duncan, drop when it still traveled pretty far down the left field, into left field. Easy out though. And Barrero comes up for the Cardinals, and again, an example, Barrero, a later season addition to this team. Another potent bat in the lineup and another option for Bernardo. And the Cardinals have had a couple of injuries. And that depth really comes in handy.
Certainly does. Lefty-lefty matchup here. Barrero slashing one up the middle. Going to be a tough play by the second baseman. Ranges into the hole at his left. Is able to fire a strike to first just in time. That's a really nice play made by Guelph, and a little bit of hard luck for Barrero. Obviously didn't hit it maybe as hard as he would have liked.
To settle himself down because Nickel was going down that line pretty quickly. Barrero was going down that line pretty quickly. And a real nice pickup and throw over. And there you see it, ranging. Did stop for a second, but not long. He knew he had to be quick, and the throw was right in at first.
Yeah, and Barrero might not be a guy you would think of to win like a straight sprint with this team, but those long strides chugging down to first certainly made it a little bit more of a bang-bang play than Geraldo would have liked, but well done by him. And yeah, you just see it, composure, right? There was the internal clock. He was clear, or he knew when he needed to get that ball off, and he did. We now see Rainy Reyes, one of the Cardinals' all-star. We've seen this a little bit from Liriano tonight. The control, it can come and go. We saw him 3 straight balls to start the at-bat to Dominguez in the first at-bat of the game. And we see the same thing here to Reyes. You'd have to imagine the auto take is in full swing for Rainey.
And good idea, because 4 straight balls gives the Cardinals a base runner. That's a way to change the momentum in a hurry. When the pitcher is, as you said, a little up and down with the control, you look at the number of balls that Liriano has thrown, as opposed to Boone.
You could talk about Carlos Dominguez and his 11 homers, but a rookie that has carried the mail from a catching position like this and has been a trusted offensive threat as well for the Cards. You know, he has kind of fallen a little bit in the lineup, but I think that's just more, you know, some of the additions that were had in a guy like Barrero, and obviously what Darlin Herman's been able to do for this team as well. So I look at a guy like McGill as, you're right, one of, if not the best stories for this Cardinals team, and, you know, has a little bit of power stroke as well for just a 23-year-old rookie in this league. And they do get a base runner, but they strand him at first. We're through 2 here at Bernie Arbor, and neither team has anything to show for it from an offensive standpoint.
That looked like it might have had a chance to leave the ballpark coming off the bat. You wonder if the air in here tonight is holding the ball up a little bit. We saw the same thing with a shot to left field as well. But no score through 2.
No, and of course, always want to say thanks. What would it be at a ballpark with some Cardinals if we didn't say thanks to our friends at Armstrong Bird Food?
Sometimes the littlest things can make the biggest difference.
And here it is, the running of the bases here at Bernie Arbor. Where are these? They just, every time I think it's almost done, more children, they find them at the ballpark here. I do want to give a quick shout out if you see any of the navy blue, yellow, or the baby blue jerseys. Those are from the team that was on the field with the Cardinals, giving them high fives as part of the starting lineup tonight. That is from the Bomba organization, Burlington Organized Minor Baseball Association. Near and dear to my heart. It's the association I coach in. So awesome to see those kids here. Awesome to see everybody out there getting their cardio in and running the bases here tonight. I've joked about this before. Owen Boone, he is understanding, but if you could just pick it up a little bit, he's ready to get back to work.
Like and appreciate the way the Cardinal players accommodate that promotion. Running the bases is something you see at a lot of ballparks. The Blue Jays do it, but they do it after the game, and that's a major league level. It's understandable. But to get out of the routine, to let the kids run and have fun, and the infielders stick around, sometimes giving the kids high five as they go back, and Boone takes his time. In fact, he didn't run out until that, you know, the kids at least were halfway through. Full marks for that. This is the Canadian professional.
Something about baseball that when you go to a game, you can touch it, you can feel it. A foul ball might make its way into you, you know, a little easier to get the attention of somebody than it can be at a hockey game or a basketball game or anything like that. It is always one of the things I loved about baseball as a kid. Now that I'm a parent, I love getting to see it on the other side of things. And yes, this Cardinals team always so accommodating with that.
Running around on the ice could turn out to be disastrous if they let the kids do. I don't think that would be a very good plan.
There was a streaker in Calgary that did that once and ended innings here tonight. We'll see if he continue it as he works his way through the Guelph order for this first time.
4K so far for Boone. Limited number of balls, just a single up the middle. That one low, though, a rare
getting it
ball.
Out of the way. You know, he's only going to throw so many in an inning. Maybe just get that one out of the way, and now we can just hammer home strikes the rest of the way here. We'll see how the Cardinals righty works.
That one low too for ball two, but that's a good side of a strikeout pitcher, because strikeout pitchers obviously throw more pitches instead of getting just one pitch outs. But if all your strikeouts are going to be just 3 pitches.
A fly ball into center field to Tyler Duncan picks up the first out of this top of 3.
We have seen harder contact, Brent, but I suspect that ball is going to hold up tonight. The 3 fly balls that were hit pretty hard just seemed to die out there. 1 to left, 1 to center, and 1 to right field.
Yeah.
And, of course, when you've got pitchers like Liriano and Boone pitching the way they are, not a surprise. But I think might be a little more difficult than usual to hit home runs in this park, although it's always tough to hit homers in this park.
Yeah, I was going to say, very reminiscent of the early season games. You know, when there was still a little cooler, wind was still blowing a little bit, it felt the contact guy at the plate, and we see, or on the bump, I should say. And here comes the 1-1 pitch from the Cardinals righty. That one skied high. Nichols seems to have a beat on it in shallow left. Tough play for him, though, and he drops it. That's going to go to Champ Gardner, who's going to have to get the ball in, and Guelph will be standing on second there. That is such a tough play for a shortstop ranging back. Generally speaking, you know, I know the shortstop's the captain of the infield, but I think you'd rather have the outfielder call him off on that play.
That is not the shortstop's ball. Credit Nickel for the enthusiasm to get out there and try to make that play, but that is, and as a result, it falls in.
Yeah, you always want the guy charging in on the ball to be making the play, as opposed to the guy going back, and you'll see it here with Nickel. Kind of got all twisted and turned around there, and we talk about the wind maybe swirling a little bit, ball certainly holding up, and you see Boone, there's going to be some frustration, naturally so, and yeah, Nickel just overrunning it and also not getting quite deep enough, but that's a tough play for the shortstop to make. You love the left fielder, and you do wonder if that's a little bit of, you know, chemistry, Gardner joining the team late in the year, Nickel being so entrenched here. I imagine he thinks every ball that he can get to is his. That's what a good shortstop does, but yeah, you'd love the outfielder to.
And you can notice, not a word of protest.
Right. Yeah, they know. Players always know. Sometimes you'll see a little sheepish grin to they got away with one there. No such look from Guelph. Nickel keeping close eye on the runner at second there.
Well, you know, Brenton, hockey in particular, I know a lot of minor officials in hockey, in the National Hockey League, and they all say the same thing, is when they go to take a look at disputed goals, one of the things you really look at is the facial reactions of the player.
And a little swing and miss, bringing the count to 2-2. And again, just a beautiful look at Bernie Arbor. She is gleaming tonight, folks, just like the pitchers have been. Here comes Boone with the 2-2 count. 1 out, runner on second. Really the first spot of trouble he's found himself in this game.
Isn't it cool having a drone?
Very cool.
What a view you get from that thing.
Nice pitch from Boone. Nickel at least faking the idea of a pickoff, giving him something to think about. Boone delivers. Swinging over the top of it. That is a crucial, hard guy to strike out. And you know, I know that. He leads the league in walks. So obviously a patient hitter there at the plate, but he's able to get him to whiff away. No one really holding, although Herman working his way back to second here now.
Big lead by the runner at second base.
One's flared out just to the right of our heads.
We've seen that several times. Other teams come in here, and when they're facing Boone or Jan or a Cardinal pitcher who's really got it going, even early in the ball game, trying to create some havoc on the base pass, producer
to think about other than what he's doing, and he is 1 strike away from doing what he's done all night long here. It is Gilbert, the third baseman, up at the dish. There is a runner on second, 2 outs here in the top of 3 for Owen Boone. Peering in, right hand behind his back, looking for the sign from McGill. Again, healthy lead at second. Boone jam shot that's going to go foul, and Gilbert doing a good job of staying alive in this one.
Gilbert staying alive and making Boone throw more pitches here. The first 2 innings were pretty easy and economical for Boone despite a pile of strikeouts. This at-bat, dragging out a little bit. Runner
ahead. Guelph coming off a 12-inning game last night. And there is a swing and miss in the dirt. McGill applies the tag, and Boone gets out of the jam, stranding the runner on second. That'll now give way to the Cardinals offense as Owen Boone racks up another strikeout as the Cardinals look to get something going, really, for the first time tonight offensively.
6 Ks for Boone in 3 innings, including 2 on Dos Santos and 2 on Gilbert, so he's handled the top of the Guelph batting order and a great performance by Boone. We've talked about he's thrown very few balls in the ball game. It looks like runs will be at a premium tonight.
See it with Boone. I think the thing that is so remarkable is you think about a guy, dominant pitcher, strikeout pitcher, or at least he can be. You think there's kind of the one weapon. You know, we see it with Hector Yanni, really feasts on that fastball. We've seen it with other pitchers in this league that do it the opposite way with more off speed. Owen Boone says, what is it going to take? I don't care. You want me to feast on the heater? We can do that. You want me to give you a nasty change? That's there too. You want some off speed? You want a breaking pitch? It really feels like whatever way you want to do it, Owen Boone is.
Confidence or faith in your secondary pitchers, you're going to get bombed.
Yep.
And that's why we're seeing scores like 22-18, Brantford and Toronto the other night, football type scores in the league. And when you do see pitchers like Boone and Liriano who can mix their pitches, big difference, and their commanding stuff makes a heck of a difference. Now, every time it seems on broadcast we say it's going to be a low-scoring game tonight, but as the game gets on, somebody starts producing. But boy, both starters have got it going so far, and Liriano has some of the order, can kickstart the offense here.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the way it plays out tonight. Here is Garner, obviously factoring in that last inning, watching the ball drop between he and Nichols. So we'll see if he can get the game off from an offensive perspective here. So as a player brought in at the deadline here to add to the options, the bounty of them that Luis Bernardo has when putting his lineup together. That's who gets the call in the 8-hole and in left field tonight.
And tonight, speaking of, is Fiesta.
The team we have, they were asking me how much Spanish I had for them, and I was hoping I could say muchos power at some point tonight when someone hits a bomb. But that's about all I've got as well. Dominguez would be a great guy for me to do that for. I'd love to do that. Garner watching one here. And that is a full take after falling behind 3-0. And this has been a bit of a pattern for him for Liriano. If you're looking to work deep into the game, I would advise you not to continue falling behind 3-0, not telling him anything he doesn't know there. There's Garner swinging at one. Eye level, if not higher. For baby Nickel the younger. Also Trevor, we can call him by his name. Here he is, the younger brother of Brandon Nickel, the shortstop. This is the DH tonight in Trevor Nickel.
All right, so let's see how the Cardinals play this. It's scoreless, bottom of the third. It's the bottom of the order. Trevor Nickel has had a very good season, but it's the number 9 hitter. Garner's got a bit of a lead. Do the Cardinals do what Guelph did and try to create some havoc here on the base pass and play for a run? Maybe with some speed.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the way they have it. Bernardo hasn't been afraid to ask guys to lay down the bunt, and you saw Nickel was at least getting ready to think about it there. But instead, that one bunt against the Leafs.
Bernardo not hesitant to bunt at all. In fact, likes bunting.
And there it is from Nickel. It's a picture-perfect sacrifice, but it won't be needed. So when skirts away from the first baseman, Nickel's going to go into second. They're going to hold Garner at third, and the Cardinals got a little something cooking here with runners on second and third after Nickel lays down a picture-perfect bunt. That is such a tough play that he is asking Guelph to make for Gilbert.
We see on the replay, watch it, lays it down perfectly. Third baseman comes in, fires it across, probably was better off holding the ball, quite frankly. Didn't think he was going to get him at first. And there's the bottom of the order, creating some havoc with some speed. So now Cardinals at second and third and nobody out.
Yeah, Nickel been a bit of a thorn in the side of Guelph. Last time he played them, he had 2 hits in the 4 at-bats there, driving in a run. So obviously no stranger to a little bit of success against Guelph for a guy who has had somewhat limited action. Has Nickel. This brings up the top of the order, and a guy we talked about having light tower power in Carlos. Is not shy to let the bat head eat there, but he swings over top of it, and that brings the count to 1-1. No outs. This is the second time through the order for the Cardinals. They got runners on second and third. Nickel laying down a bunt, forcing some tough defense, and all of a sudden the Cardinals now have 2 runners in scoring position after having none through the first 2 innings of the game.
Leadoff walks usually come back to haunt you. Let's see if this haunts Liriano.
See if it does here. So far, not hurting him yet as he gets another swing and miss from Dominguez here. Baseman Gilbert, that's going to drive in Garner. Nickel was making the turn. He probably smartly is held, and the Cardinals got runners on the corner after Carlos Dominguez drives in the first run of the night, ripping one through the third base side.
Ripped it through indeed for an RBI single. And yeah, Garner, that ball was hit so hard. There was no way he was should have been going anywhere, but he stopped. And as a result, Cardinals draw first blood. Yeah, you see that solid swing. Liriano watching it zoom by. Perfect spot. Easily scoring is Garner. Nickel stopping at third, and
You know, you'd think with a guy with Duncan's power, how do you play this? But I've seen the Cardinals play this before, and it wouldn't always be. This guy swinging away. Lefty matchup here. Dominguez getting watched at first. Nickel, healthy lead at third as well. Here goes Dominguez running on the first move. That's going to allow him to easily get into second. And the Cardinals said second and third was so good, no outs. Let's do it again. Nickel still at third. Dominguez into second, going on the first move there, Raj.
well, Dominguez got lucky there. He was really picked off, and you can see Liriano a little bit frustrated for Duncan. And I'm telling you, I don't want to take the bat out of Duncan's hand.
No, I wouldn't be asking him to bunt here. That's for sure. Let's see how he handles it. Lefty, lefty. There he goes squaring, but it is a high pitch. What do you make of that there, Raj? I mean, I'm all for trying to get the run, trying to get ahead there, but in a spot like this, no outs, guy with the pop he has, he is your two-hole hitter. A bit of a curious decision there.
Well, here's the thing: is he? And that will bring Dino Rommel out to take advantage of this kind of injury situation to Liriano, to have a conversation about what that was and would they try that again. Runners at second and third, nobody out here, bottom of the third inning. And the Cardinals up 1-0, and you want a big inning early in the game, obviously, if you can get one, and there's a great opportunity. I don't know what happened to Liriano there as a result of that pitch, because this is more than a cursory visit by Romano and the trainer out there as well.
All and end all when you make this decision, but if you were thinking about laying down a bunt, a pitcher who maybe isn't feeling so hot right now, not the worst way to go about it, trying to get him involved. We'll see him take a few pitches here, obviously test out what's okay, seeming to show one more. Let's see how I feel. Let's see what's up with Liriano here.
Yeah, there was something in his form on that last pitch that he threw that set it off, and I wonder, you know, maybe it was the throw to first base, maybe it was before that last play that caused that. Trainer having a chat with him.
Yeah, he gave a big thumbs up to the catcher. He seems fine about everything.
You don't need warm-up time in the bullpen. They'll give you as many pitches as you want. But Liriano says he's okay. Dominguez goes back to second, and Duncan gets back in. Now, is he bunting, or did he just show bunt that last time out? We'll see.
Guelph certainly not showing any signs that this is going to be. There's the pitch outside to Duncan. Yeah, a little slip and fall there. If Guelph thought about coming across to score for the second time, this or second Cardinals run of the inning.
Well, it's the little things, and Duncan made sure to hit that ball to the right side of the infield, because we're only in the bottom of the third inning. The infield is playing deep, so you hit to the right side, they're not coming home. It's an automatic run, and Duncan does that. I don't think he ever intended to bunt there. I think he just gave him something to think about by showing the bunt where he was. But regardless, it does move the runner over to third, does cash in a run. RBI for Duncan, and the Cards up 2-0.
So runner on third, and you have just one out in the inning. You have one of the better bat-to-ball guys in the CBL, and Darlin Herman up here. Takes a big, healthy cut at the first pitch he sees. Guelph understands.
You could, if at all possible, you do not want that run to score. There's not much they could do in the Duncan at bat. You can't play in when there's runners at second and third, nobody out. But with one out, you do not want that run to score. So if you can get a ground out, you'll either go to the plate or make sure the runner doesn't get a chance to come in from third.
Yeah, obviously Liriano's back, or whatever was bothering him, scare, has got Guelph in action. There's somebody playing catch over there in the bullpen, so at least on standby is the way they'll be handling this, and that seems like a pretty prudent play.
There was something in the pitch he threw just prior to that just caused that discomfort, whatever it was.
Herman chopping one. That's going to force Dominguez to stay, and he's checked there by Liriano, and they'll flip it over to first. Dominguez unable to advance on a soft chopper back to Liriano on the mound. Fields it cleanly, little flip over to first, and all of a sudden a very dangerous situation for the Cardinals has become a little bit more palatable for Guelph, as Dominguez is still sitting on third, but there are now 2 outs in the inning with Brandon Nickel coming up to the plate.
So bookmark that out, because that could be a real big big one. That takes the pressure off. Now the infield can go back to playing at the regular depth. And how important was that throwing error now when you reconstruct this inning?
Dominguez, and then walks it over to get the flip at first there, make it a little easier on himself. We'll see if he can get himself out of this jam. Obviously, Nickel would love for that not to be the case. Barrero lurking in the on-deck circle. That one high above the head of Nickel, also known as ball 2.
Nickel fly to left field and deep left field, his first time up. We've talked about tonight with the ball. Looks like it's holding up here at Bernie Arbor Stadium.
Yeah, generally speaking, not easier to hit him as.
And if he manages to squirm out of this one, getting Nickel here, that will really limit the damage. That had the potential to be a big run, a big inning for the Cardinals. Still does, and he's coming home.
Dominguez, he is caught in a pickle here. He's going to work his way back to third. Guelph going to have the fundamentals. No one's at home. He slides in. Dominguez is safe. They're showing the ball. The tag was not applied, and Carlos Dominguez went from in a big jam to sliding across home, and that brings the third run of the plate across for the Cardinals. What an inning here, and what base running, and take that any way you want, kids, from Carlos Dominguez.
Well, kids, don't do what Dominguez did, because he got lucky there. First, I was shocked he was coming in. He starts to come off. They see it. Catcher throws. The pitcher's got to go to the plate. There's nobody left at the plate, and by the time the infielder comes back to play, it's too late. Result in a run. Now the umpires want to meet in front of the mound. I don't know what that's about, but aggressiveness is great. But stealing in that situation is a high-risk play, but Dominguez did get away with it and did execute the rundown good, made Guelph throw the ball a couple of times, but there was just nobody covering the plate to take the throw.
You hit the nail on the head. That play, the door was opened completely by Liriano not following off there. So, yeah, really tough play. And Liriano, after making the very heads-up play earlier, the heads-up play to notice, good throw initially, but it allows Dominguez to score.
Now, in defense of Liriano, that's an unusual play when a guy tries to steal home and then turns around and gets caught in a rundown. It's not something you're thinking about, oh, I guess I better cover home plate. But he had to cover home plate, or somebody had to be at the plate. And you could see by the time that second throw was made in the rundown that nobody was at the plate, and he was going to go in uncontested.
Trainer was going to come out for a second, but Liriano waving her off. He appears to be okay.
Yeah, and the bullpen is up, as you mentioned, for Guelph. Liriano has labored in this inning for sure, and that play certainly didn't help matters.
Well, certainly wouldn't have. Nickel fouling one off. You know, if a guy was laboring and trying to get out of an inning, Nickel doing a great job of making sure that does not happen here. Obviously, or I shouldn't say obviously, but it was actually baby brother Trevor getting on with the sack bunt, and then the error allowing everybody to advance there that really kind of kickstart this rally. He came across to score in the inning as well.
3-2 count. Liriano looking in here, desperately needs a strikeout to get off.
In the walk after fouling off plenty of pitches. Very professional AB out of Nickel to get on base with the walk there.
I wonder if they're illustrating and thinking, look, this guy's injured. My reliever's going to need more time. I think that's more what the discussion might be in that case. And Liriano reluctantly hands over the baseball. Give him credit, he's a trooper. He did not want to come out of the game. He wanted to finish the inning. You could just tell out there, and he's still kind of looking as he stands on the mound. And there's the last pitch, way outside.
Yeah, it doesn't show any signs of discomfort there. Obviously, you saw him kind of keeled over more earlier in the game, and you know I think that goes without saying. I don't think the Guelph Royals should be penalized because Liriano tried to push through. I don't think there should be any element of, you know, hey, he actually was able to pitch. You had the chance for 91 Brandon Deans.
Well, it's an interesting decision, though, Brent, because he was warming, you know, and so, yeah, I mean, and that's where, right off the bat, and the discussion continues right now between Guelph manager and the umpires regarding how much time he's going to have to warm up as the Guelph infield gathers at the mound to watch as Deans comes into the game in a tough spot because the Cardinals have already put a 3-spot up here on Latin night at Bernie Arbor Memorial Stadium. And a good start tonight for the Cardinals. Boone has got the mojo going, 6 strikeouts over 3 innings, and they have cobbled together with some questionable Guelph play here.
Barrero going to make any change, or Bernardo, sorry, going to make any changes to the lineup, but obviously set things up in mind of having a lefty there. You got to wonder your Tyler Duncans of the world going, righty coming in, not the worst thing for me.
No, some players will benefit, some won't. There's no question about it. We mentioned it is Latin night, or Fiesta de los Cardinals.
Nailed it.
Thank you very much. Worked all day on that one.
Senor Raj is what we call him.
It is celebrating Latin tomorrow. They're in Welland, 6:05, and that's one of the teams you're looking up at in the standings now. So another big one in that one. Luis Ramirez will get the ball back and back home Sunday to face Yasel Puig and the Toronto Maple Leafs at 4:05. So another weekend of 3-3, and so far this game's going just perfect because Boone is throwing and doing a great job. And there are the standings, and there's the job the Hamilton Cardinals have to do. 3 back of Welland, 4 back of London. Just a
Nuts. Could very well turn out that way. And, if you're Hamilton, another big column there is the games played column. You are going to be a busy ball club from here until August 30th when the regular season wraps up for the Cardinals. Yeah, that's 9 days from now. A lot of baseball to be played between now and then. Here is Dario Barrero up at the dish. Brandon Nickel on first after being walked. That was the last batter of the night for Guelph starter. Nickel feigning to go. Seemed like a hit and run there with the late cut from Barrero, and the Cardinals, even with 2 outs, that one low and in the dirt, will allow Nickel to advance to second.
Yeah, it was hit the dirt while
first
pitch.
I thought it was, it seemed the way initially the reaction came, I was wondering if Barrero got a bit of bat on it, but no. Nickel finds himself on a second, and the Cardinals got a runner in scoring position, albeit with 2 outs here. Barrero up with 1 ball, 2 strikes.
So you don't need the hit and run in that case. The wild pitch serves the purpose nicely. Now let's see what Barrero can do with 2 strikes.
Hulking presence. Cardinals got some big boys on the team, and he is it's one of the things, you learn tools of the trades here. That's the first thing you got to do when you're working these games. Okay, where don't I park? You don't need to tell me where to park. Just where don't. And that one lashing into the concourse there. I hope the beer lady sitting over there in that section of the concourse is okay, because that one was laced again. Very similar spot. Just a little lower launch angle there.
Keep the heads up for sure.
Certainly. Barrero fighting off a couple of pitches, keeping the count of 1-2. Shooting that one. Nickel had to freeze, make sure he didn't get hit by it. That one is picked by the shortstop, fired over to the first baseman, and that brings the end of the inning. Brandon Deans coming in to get the finishing touches of that inning for Guelph, but the Cardinals bring 3 across, including a wide.
Unbelievable.
You have a jacuzzi?
Absolutely.
I am a champ. I am a champ. I am a champ.
I am a champ. A member of the Warham's Child Amputee Program, thanks to your donations.
I'm Rudy Wallace, host of Hamilton's Vital Signs, a show where we talk about the many aspects of community life that make our city vibrant and inclusive, and a show where we talk.
Before, if you're just joining us now, shame. Owen Boone has been incredible, and you have missed a tremendous outing thus far. Don't think it's on the verge of ending, though, if Boone looks anything like he has through the first 3, Raj.
6 Ks in 3 innings for Boone, throwing only a handful of balls. He's been terrific.
There is Boone starting things off. 2nd straight inning, starting with the ball. What has happened here? He has been just electric in terms of bouncing back and mixing his pitch.
You don't want to swing at a pitch you don't think he can hit.
Certainly don't. Cat and mouse game. We see that one chopped up the middle. That's going to be trouble. Not the hardest to hit balls, but it's got eyes, and that's a single ripped up the middle. And Guelph, for the 2nd straight innings, got a runner on somewhat early in the frame.
That's the 2nd hit for Guelph, and the identical place that Ochoa. put the ball right up the middle, slow bouncer, and it works. Runner on.
Here is Garrett Takamatsu. You know, we've talked about we've talked about how Guelph may try to go about it tonight. When you look at the offensive categories for the first out of the fourth.
Yeah, F9 will make him 0 for 2. He struck out back in the second inning, brings Geraldo to the plate, who grounded out to third in the second. Guelph returns home tomorrow night, and they've got the first place London Majors, so things don't get any easier for the Guelph Royals this weekend as well.
No, they don't. Not getting any easier for any of these top teams, and they're all these games have such great import. You know, makes it things a little more difficult. You would think. Going to have to learn to play with the pressure though at this time of year. There's Boone reeling in another strike. That one is flared off to the right side. Dominguez making a long run to get to it. Good dive. I mean, you know, good right idea with the slide.
Here's we talk about that at least once a broadcast. In a lot of parks, that ball would probably just be in the stands, and outfielder would just look at it go. But he gave it a shot.
Certainly did. Now I wanted to pick up on something we talked about at the end of the inning. Brandon Dean's coming into this game to make way for Liriano, the injured starter on the play. Wondering how much he would go or how much they'd look to get out of him. Now Guelph was busy last night. They're busy this weekend. It's not necessarily a multi-inning guy. They also don't have anyone up in the pen. So going to try to get more than the one out of him. Not overly surprised there, but it will be something worth keeping an eye on because Dean's has gone times. He did go 3 earlier this month, but generally speaking, just a one-inning guy for Guelph. Obviously, 12th inning game last night. Later in the season, the import of this game get to second, and there's a runner in scoring position for the second straight frame for Guelph.
So a wild pitch moves the runner over to second, and there is no question that Guelph is going to look for some length from all of their pitchers in a game like this. Not that the game is out of hand by any stretch of the imagination. It's only 3-0 here in the top of the fourth, but an extra inning game, as you mentioned last night, and the first place London team coming in for a home game tomorrow. No, the 1 inning guy becomes 2 inning, the 2 inning guy becomes 3 innings, and all the.
That's right. Certainly a way to make your bacon is working deep into ball games, and he will look to do so. Also, something to watch for in this spot. Now, full count here, 3-2, is how they handle the runner at second. You know, they had a close pickoff play there last time. Darlin Herman keeping pretty close tabs on Torres, the catcher, on the other side there. See how they handle that. As I mentioned, Guelph not afraid to include the run game in their offensive arsenal. Healthy lead over there, and we see Herman working his way back, trying to hold him.
Be uncharacteristic, and now runners at first and second, and the first trouble he's really faced in this ball game. And Ochoa had a single up the middle, similar to the one that Torres had to lead off this inning back in the second.
Yeah, basically identical, and we'll see how Boone handles him the second time through. As we know, second, third, fourth time through an order can always be arduous. Now, nobody holding the runner at first. Herman continuing to play there, and he gets over, but the throw was not low enough. Herman trying to keep the tag on. Actually bluffed the throw and then kept the tag on, hoping he could catch a runner asleep, but unable to do so with Torres. Barrero is not able to make, he's called out at first because he's off the base path, and there is no run being signaled by the umpire here. Play got all types of hairy for the Cardinals here, and now the Guelph first base coach / manager coming out to have a discussion about this.
Well, that'll be a run scored. It's got to be a run scored. I don't know what the argument is on that one. And typical there, you know, you have the double steal going, and you've got to watch the other guy. And which guy do you pay attention to?
Arms on the Guelph side of things about this. So we'll see Owen Boone continue to work here as Raj puts on his reporter hat and gets to work figuring out what's happened for us here. I'm just here to tell you about the pretty pictures. We got a real journalist, Raj, beside me here, so we'll let him handle it. And Owen Boone continuing to work here. That one leaking away to the glove side, and that's ball for Boone. So again, obviously, we've seen this before at other levels of baseball. You go off the base path there. You can't. Boone, swing and a miss over the top. There's the third out of the inning, and Owen Boone, unfazed by whatever was going on out there, picks up another strikeout. Mowing him down is Owen Boone tonight, and he strands a runner, would have stranded a runner, but we still don't really understand what happened there. But Owen Boone and the Cardinals will now turn things over to their offense, which got cooking with 3 runs in the bottom of 3. We are halfway through 4 here at Bernie Arbor Memorial Stadium.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get a more detailed explanation as to what exactly happened there. And while we wait for that, how about we check the CBL out-of-town scoreboard, because we're at a stage of the season where every game is of paramount importance, and there are 3 other games tonight, including the first game, of course, as the battle for first place goes. Toronto and Brantford playing again, largely due to the rainouts. It looks like those teams are playing a series. I think that's the 3rd straight time they've played. They had a 22-18 wild game at Dominico Field at Christie Pitts recently. This one much tighter. Maple Leafs leading 2-1, and this one in the bottom of the 6th. A Red Sox loss would officially and mathematically eliminate them from the playoffs.
Got some bad news regarding the Hamilton Cardinals when Brandon Deans is on the mound for Guelph. The Cardinals have lost all 3 of the games, but they've gotten progressively better results each time out. In the first time they saw Deans this year, he went 1 1/3, scoreless, hitless, striking out 2. The next time they saw him, he went 1 inning again, but it was 1 earned run on 1 hit, striking out just 1. And the last time they saw him, the Cards put up 3 runs, 2 of them earned on 2 hits, 2 strikeouts and 7 batters there. So I don't know if they're becoming more comfortable. Again, maybe this is the secret sauce for Guelph. They've won every time he's pitched against them.
We'll see how the Cardinals fare against him tonight.
Mowing it right past Rainy Reyes there. Confident fastball from Deans.
Tough spot for pitcher to come in, because you can rest assured, I'm sure the Royals expected Liriano to pitch deeper into the game. They know the situation with the pitchers, but when it's an injury situation, you got to find a way.
Find a way, and Reyes finding a way to put bat on ball to that one. Tough play, but he is retired there by the right fielder. A bit of a twisty road to get there, but he found a way to get glove on ball, and Rainy Reyes is retired, which brings Evan McGill to the dish. Game plan for Boone in the way you would if you'd maybe worked alongside him for a handful of years, but with Boone, with Jan, with Damas earlier in the year, you know, it really had Ramirez now. It really has been somebody that seems to have found a lot of comfort with the starting staff here, and that is no easy task for the 26-year-old.
That pitch way outside into the backstop. No harm done, though, with no runners on. 2-1 the count. 1 out here in the bottom of the 4th inning. So the Royals managed to, there's 2 outs, but the run scores. I mean, it's a double steal.
Yeah, agreed. Couldn't understand how that would go any other way. And that's a good job of McGill shooting one into the outfield there, just skirting past the second baseman. Skirting by enough, though, as McGill picks up a hit, and he is on first, giving the Cardinals their first base runner of the inning, bringing up Champ Gardner to the plate.
And that's just the second hit of the ball game for the Cardinals, and we've seen a couple of balls go right up the middle, 2 of them by Guelph, and now 1 by Hamilton. So McGill on first, Garner
scoring position.
You get the feeling it's going to be one of those nights in this game, and it already is in some of the stuff that's going on down there. But the balk does bring McGill over to second.
Yeah, I'd be too careful, feeling like you know how this game is going to play out at any given time. You're right, Raj. Just has one of those spooky game feels to it, where anything can happen at any given time. Garner calling time here.
How about that Blue Jays game against the Red Sox for about a week and a half ago, Brent, when nobody knew how many outs there were in the end?
No clue.
How you can be a Major League Baseball player and players on both teams leaving the field because they think it's the 3rd out when it's not.
You had to start. Oh, certainly appeared to be there in time. Torres up and running, and we're up and throwing quickly on that. Pop time was good, catcher to catcher, and we'll get a look at it here. So that wasn't the best jump in the world from McGill. And he is called safe anyways on that one.
Third baseman, actually, the reaction of third baseman was kind of funny. I'm sure he heard the umpire say safe and go, what? Had the ball in his hand. It looked like the throw was there, but McGill did slip the hand in, I guess, and big stolen base.
Yeah, certainly did. McGill won't complain about it as he stands on third. Infield being brought in for Guelph now. See how Garner plays this. Obviously, a ball deep enough would be a big play for Garner here. Looking down at third, getting his signs.
Maybe bunting. In that case, Hamilton's not afraid to do that. This is a full illustration, and you correctly pointed out how in tight the infield in, and they are really in tight. So they're also defending the bunt, but it's respect for Boone because they know they cannot allow too many more runs in this ball game.
It really is. And we see Garner now fighting one off.
I mean, it's the bottom of the 4th inning. The score is 3-1, and they're treating, no, we cannot let this guy score.
Yeah, you'd very much think it was a 8th or 9th inning situation on third, but a very, very different complexion of the inning after picking up the second out. This brings up Nickel the younger, Trevor Nickel.
And he had a sacrifice in the bottom of the 3rd inning, combined with an error that brought runners over to 2nd and 3rd, and eventually scored Hamilton's 2nd run in that 3-run 3rd.
Infield back to standard depth now. Got one leaking inside off to the glove side. Nickel watching ball 1.
This is how good a pitcher Boone is and how much respect.
Fouling one off, lashing it right at the Cardinals dugout.
Friendly fire in that
Certainly.
case.
Gotta help, you'd think, to be coming into a new league, moving to a new city, and you got your big brother on the team. Certainly got to be a big, big help for a guy like Nickel, just from a standpoint of comfortability.
No question, and very unique that you get to play right next to your brother sometimes
Right,
in
yeah.
games, eh?
They have been the middle infield duo on more than a handful of occasions, that's for sure. Nickel flinching at it, but watching the high. Bring the count to 2-2 on Nickel here. 2s across the board. There's 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. I guess bottom of 4 and runner on 3rd, so maybe not. To our friends at Rawlings.
My first professional glove, that's the one I remember the most. When I was coming up, even though it wasn't that long ago, having your name on a glove was a big deal.
Are you set? You're going to go in 1, 2, 3, and go!
And here we are back at Bernie Arbor Memorial Stadium. Owen Boone on the bump, continuing to shove for the Cardinals to here. The Cardinals with a 3-1 lead, mostly on the backs of some great Owen Boone pitching.
7 strikeouts, just 1 walk, gave up a couple of singles, and that run that came across in a kind of wacky way in the 4th inning. And yes, Boone has had a terrific night, showing himself to be the ace of the staff. And there is no question that they want the usual length and quality from Boone tonight. 3 games in 3 days, tomorrow in Welland, 6:05. And here, Sunday against Toronto, 4:05. Barbie Day here in the ballpark. At least it's better than 5th, because
Right.
at least you'll be at home if you're the 4th place team. So Guelph and Barrie will be watching each other's results down the stretch as well. Going to be a fun last 2 weeks here.
Yeah, they certainly will. In an action-packed 2 weeks, Hamilton with a lot of baseball left to play in the 9 days left in the regular season for them. Wrapping things up here on August 30th is what they're doing. So a lot of baseball left for the Cardinals in a very short period of time, which is why it becomes all the more important for Owen Boone to work deep into this game, not just because you can force. So the longer you can lean on Boone, the happier you're going to be in this one. Boone starting things off. A bit of a trend here. This is at least the 3rd straight inning that he started off with the ball here.
Well, and he allowed a base hit, which eventually came around to score the first hitter of the last inning.
So he handles this here with the ability to bounce back. That one, first one was low, second one was high, and it's 2 balls to start the frame for Boone.
Key to success for him in the first couple of innings, of course, was getting ahead of hitters and just basically not.
3 balls. You got to imagine the take sign is on all the way for him here. How hard it's been to get on base against Boone.
Yes, the bat should stay on the shoulder here for Morrow.
And a leader in the on-deck circle for Guelph. There's the first pitch strike, or first strike of the at-bat, I should say. 4th pitch strike, bringing the count to 3-1.
It's got to be tempting at times, though.
Oh,
right, when you're, it doesn't matter who you're facing, you know he's got to throw a strike, right? Like,
it's the best pitch you're going to get at the at-bat, you'd have to think. Yeah, but
we talk about how tight it is difficult it's going to be to score runs. Boone loses the strike zone momentarily, and Morrow, very patient, takes a walk, and that's a quality at bat.
And as we mentioned, we'll see how Guelph plays this, playing very aggressively on a defensive side of things there, bringing the infield in when it's required. We'll see if they play just as aggressively on the offensive side of things, forcing the issue with the run game.
Well,
McGill's already come up throwing once in this game. You wonder how that affects things.
Yeah, that is no question thing here. If you're trying to get back into the game, we talk about the necessity to get as much offense as you can.
Of a lead for Morrow over at first. Really struggling to find the zone here for Boone, falling to 2-1.
That may play in the thinking as well, too. You don't want to run into an out in an inning where Boone is having trouble locating his pitches.
Yeah, certainly not. And if the ball isn't going to be in the zone, that even, maybe makes you think twice about bunting there. There's a feigned run attempt there, but he'll make his way back to first. McGill up and ready to throw, and that brings the count to 2-2. No outs in this inning. And, I've talked about the frame on Boone. Makes the turn, gets it over to Nickel. Are they able to turn two? Not in time! Bang, bang play at first. Cards unable to turn two, but they do get the lead runner on a nice turn from Herman to Nickel.
Yeah, it was a nice turn indeed, and it was a close play because it was well handled, and Herman made the right play, get the lead runner, didn't hesitate, tossed it over the shortstop, and just not quick enough. Ball was just hit softly enough to turn it. Throw made it, and down the line went leader to beat it out.
Now, going to our rule about players know, leader was calling it. As he was safe, arms were out. There was no guilty face there. Wonder if second base or the shortstop covering second.
Yeah, the way the ball was hit definitely dictated it, slowed it down, and Guelph runner was able to beat it out.
Once again, Boone falling behind here. Not anything you want to see if you're Hamilton, the way he has been cruising through the start of this game. Still working effectively, just the one base runner active right now after he got the lead runner with the ground ball up the middle on the last at bat. Once again, and we'll obviously see how Hamilton handles this there. And it's another walk, second of the frame. That brings runners to first and second for Guelph here. And that brings number 17, Ryan Dos Santos, to the dish. A guy that, not that he would need much help, the way Boone has struggled with control a little bit in this inning. But this is the league leader in walks being brought to the plate right now.
McGill's going to have a talk with Boone, just settle him down here. And yes, uncharacteristic inning for Boone for sure. Totally in command in the first couple of innings, and just throwing more pitches now and kind of
a lot of confidence in Boone to shake themselves out of this here. There are runners on first and second, just one out here. Of course, a ground ball could quickly get Boone out of this, and he's also been magic with the strikeouts tonight, but you got to command the zone to do that. And he just hasn't in this inning as another one sails high on him.
You're not going to start the bullpen too early when Boone is on the mound. There's no question about that, but needs to settle down here for sure. And Dos Santos struck out his first two times in the first and third innings, but one of the best eyes in the Canadian Baseball League. It's going to be tough to sneak one past him.
That one is flared, but it's going to flare foul. Chris Bowada, athlete over there in the bullpen, making the play. I like to get down on the field before the game. I like to watch BP, like to watch guys shag balls, and I will say, Bowada is just a character out there. He seems to be the mayor of the CBL. He knows everybody on every team. He loves to get in the action. Sometimes you see him shagging as well out there, so he's just having fun, and definitely a nice add to the clubhouse this year for the Cardinals.
You love guys like that on your team who bring in enthusiasm, love the game. Cardinals have a lot of personalities in that dugout, and I mean that in a good way.
Yeah, they certainly do. One ball.
Make sure he's okay. Yeah. What an unfortunate way to just accidental. First baseman going back in, taking the throw, and just tripped over.
Yeah, nothing nefarious at play there. And, Darlin Herman, you want to talk about those personalities? He definitely is one of them on this team. It's a guy that was beamed in the eye mere hours before the All-Star weekend. You know what he said? Yeah, that's all well and good. I got to get to the All-Star weekend. I got my friends down there. So Herman is just a guy that you love to have, as we talked about Bowada in the pen. Herman also a guy that's played a lot of first this year. So, sorry.
Key pitch in this ball game right here. 3-2 count, 2 runners on.
Here it is from Boone. Quick check at second. Delivers the pitch. That one is fouled straight back at us. Raj, you still got it. I can tell you're ready to make the play. But I was also ready. We would have had to have a Nickel Garner situation. Who's calling who off there? That's the.
Well, considering my hands were in my pockets, that would have been yours, Brent, to pick up. No problem. I just flinched involuntarily.
Yeah, but you're obviously brave because you flinched towards where the ball was
I
going.
did.
So
I was
like
going. Gilbert has struck out his first 2 times in the first and the third, but Owen Boone has loaded the bases with walks here and just 1 out, top of the 5th inning in a 3-1 ball game, and a tough spot in the meat of the Guelph order coming up here.
Yeah, nobody you want to play around with. It's Gilbert, Torres, and Takamatsu are the next 3 due up here. Of course, you get a ground ball. Could change the complexion of things in a big way in this ball game, but this is a massive spot for Boone, and I'm sure he's pretty happy to start this at-bat off with a strike, albeit a swinging one that goes foul.
Getting ahead of the hitters was the key to success for him. Well, it's the key to success for any pitcher, but especially Boone in the first couple of innings. Feels good to get that first strike.
Certainly does, going back to the location, but unable to steal a strike out there, and that brings the count to 1-1. Get a look at Louis. 3, we're seeing him chugging. That'll be 3 runs to score, and he's standing on third. Ball getting past Carlos Dominguez, and all of a sudden, what a turn this game has taken. It is 4-3 for Guelph now in the top of 5.
Worst time for a ball to get past an outfielder. 3-1 game, hard hit ball into right field. Dominguez will take a look on the replay. Just took a bit of a weird bounce perhaps, but you've got to keep that ball in front of you. And then, of course, went so far back, center fielder had to come over and pick it up. Score that, a base hit and an error, and what a cost.
Very, very toolsy player. We talk about the power he has. Monster arm out there in right field. And you just know he's getting a little ahead of himself there, thinking about making the big throw to home, and that just take your eye off the ball for a second there. You also not keeping it in front of you because you're trying to keep all that momentum going forward. But yeah, brutal timing for that. There's never a good time for it, but you also mentioned the location, right? With that being a corner outfielder, if that's a center fielder, someone's likely coming over to help more on that play. But with it being the right fielder, actually the middle infielders on the grass, and Barrero and Reyes just outside of it there. We do have some traffic in the Cardinals bullpen now. Connor Corey getting warm, number 20. Corey warming up over there, and appears to be throwing with some intent over there. So we'll see how Bernardo handles this. You know, he would not just love to get Boone through this, but also when it's your ace, you want to give them the opportunity to work through some things. What a play by Nickel. That was stung right at him. Had to leap a little bit off to his right, but that is a great play by the Cardinals shortstop. Thought about trying.
Thrown that ball anywhere. A big second out, and that's going to bring Bernardo out of the dugout for a conversation here with Boone. And I'm sure this will be an interesting conversation because Boone very rarely does not get at least 5 innings in, and you certainly can't blame him. You can blame him for the walks. There's no question. The 3 walks were the big factor. But if Dominguez keeps that ball in front of him, perhaps only 1 run scores, not 3, and we're looking at a very different inning, and that is going to be it for Boone.
Yeah, it'll be Connor Corey coming into the game. You know, baseball funny, right, Raj? I'm sure the inning, whereas the ball hit at Nickel is laced. Maybe the hardest hit ball we've seen tonight, and it ends up just being a really, really loud out. So you mentioned it for Owen Boone. Last time he didn't go at least 5 innings was all the way back June 12th. That came against the Brantford Red Sox. There's only been one other time that he didn't go at least 5 this year, and that was in his first start of the season, the home opener against the Kitchener Panthers. One of those games was a loss, one was a win for the Cardinals there. So yeah, very against.
Wild pitch, stolen base was involved in that one. Caught stealing, the rundown, the run scoring on a weird play. So no real fault to Boone on what happened there. And then in this inning, it was just walk, ground out, walk. That hit to Dominguez, getting past him and finally getting the out on Torres. But a disappointing result for Boone, who had such great stuff for the first 3 innings. And it shows you even some of the best pitchers in the game lose that strike zone, get into some difficulty, run up the pitch count. And I'm sure the Guelph Royals are just delighted that he is out of this ball game in the top of the 5th.
So just a couple of days ago, that was in a loss, and he was handed the loss against the Barrie Baycats, going just 1 inning, allowing 3 hits, 2 runs, both of them earned, striking out a pair with 1 walk there. So allowing the 3 runs in an inning, the 3 hits, 2 runs, both of them earned. He'll be looking for a bit of a bounce back here, but I'm sure just starting with getting out of this jam be a good place to start. And man, what a way to be welcomed into the game by the cleanup hitter for Guelph, Garrett Takamatsu.
0 for 2. Takamatsu struck out and flied out.
And we talk about the importance of working ahead. Count going to 1-1 with Corey.
Rest of this season, 7 regular season games. It's not an audition. That's not the right word to use. But Bernardo needs to find out before the playoffs who he can trust in his bullpen. Corey's been pretty good recently. Let's see if he can get out of this.
Throwing something inside to Takamatsu, who gets way ahead of it, fouling it off near the Cardinals' dugout, and that brings the count to 1-2. And you know, you're right. Audition, far from the right word. The right word now is talk about how baseball is changed, you know, throughout lifetimes here. But the idea of just because you're a leverage guy doesn't mean you're the last guy that's going to pitch all the time. Leverage spots come up at many points in a game, just like it does right now for the Cardinals. And Takamatsu just placing that one in center field. Really couldn't have put it any better. That'll drive in the run from third. And Connor Corey is welcome to the game with a single from Garrett Takamatsu.
Boy, how vital does that air look now, of course, with the runners all scoring on the play. Moving up the extra top of the 5th.
RBI knock for Takamatsu. And you also talk about how different it is if runners are on first or second. You know, maybe they're playing in. That one is skied into shallow right field. Herman and Dominguez converging on it, and Herman ends up making the play. Dominguez looking like Randy Moss there going up against the DB, but it is Herman that makes the play. And we are now halfway through the 5th inning here. Cardinals going to have some work to do after giving up 4 in that frame. They trail 5-3, both starters out of the game now.
Cardinals are going to have a discussion on who's taking those fly balls. Infield. The only time an infielder is going to take a pop fly that deep is if it's kind of right at him or the outfielder is playing deep. Twice to left field and to right field we've seen tonight, the infielder is taking the ball that is not his ball to take. That's something the Cardinals are going to have to address. That's just a fundamental that's not being executed.
Yeah, you know, obviously I'm not you know, abreast of the communication that was going on between Herman and Dominguez there, but you do wonder with the error earlier in the frame if that makes you just a little hesitant to call off a teammate. But I'm with you, Raj. You always want the guy coming in. He's got a better view. It's a more natural motion to run into something exiting the game, and it is Brandon Deans in for Liriano now, who left the game due to injury in the 3rd.
Yeah, bad timing for Emily's dance party here in the bottom of the 5th, but she's doing a great job as always. A reminder, today's game is broadcast, of course, on Cable 14 with our fantastic crew, but it's also simulcast on the CBL TV app and YouTube. It's also available on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Google TV, Android, and all iOS devices. So if you want to listen and watch Hamilton Cardinals baseball,
yeah, always nice when you hear from people watching the game, listening wherever you're finding it. You know, even talking to opposing players. I know I was talking to. I'll just name a name. Kirk Gibson, who was picked up by the Cards at the deadline. He goes, you know, you're giving me some credit for running out that ground ball. So the players love watching it as well, and we love being a part of it here, especially on Friday nights here on Cable 14. Cardinals going to be looking for a bounce back, and man, what a good time for Dominguez to come to the plate. You know, we hear all the time about in sports playing guilty a little bit.
Have a single and got credit for an RBI, a couple of stolen bases in that wacky 3rd inning. Struck out in the 1st, and yes, he could certainly make amends here by getting on base and starting something big, because he certainly can do both. He's a great power hitter, but he's got good speed as well.
Tons of speed, big arm, very, very toolsy player. Showed bunt a couple of times watching the first 2 balls of this at bat. Now all of a sudden with a couple of strikes finds himself in a 2-2 count against Brandon Deans, big right-hander out of Mississauga. Andy Leader calling off his second baseman there.
Well, and that's if manager Bernardo wants to illustrate and demonstrate to his players how to handle those balls that are between the infielder and the outfielder. Save that one. Keep the clip. Show it. It's the outfielder's ball. It's just very simple, fundamental baseball, and executed perfectly. And immediately, second baseman backs off.
Yeah, you can see it, right? You don't need to hear it to know exactly when he was called off of that ball. Just immediately hitting the forward drive there and getting out of the way of Andy Leader, who picks up the first out of the inning there. That brings way to Tyler Duncan, the 2-hitter tonight, of course, still playing center field for the Cardinals. Herman waiting in the on-deck.
Out in the 3rd inning.
Watching ball 3 here. As you mentioned, prudent play, guys struggling with command. It makes sense to want to draw the walk. But if you're Duncan, I bet you're not going to see a better pitch than the one right here. He's taken all the way, and that's a late strike one call. Does not like it. You never want to show up the ump, but that call came in pretty late. I can't begrudge Duncan too much there.
Yeah, it might have been a word back to the umpire there. Duncan, not the kind of player that's going to show up the umpire, number one. And it was a late call.
Good wheels, or Darlin Herman, one of the better bat-to-ball guys in this league. We know Bernardo unafraid to try to manufacture a little offense, so we'll see how he goes about it here with Herman up at the dish. One out, that came on a fly out by Carlos Dominguez to his right field counterpart, Andy Leader.
This team's looking for a hero right now. They've been in a little funk the last couple of games here. Somebody needs to step up.
3 straight losses, very out of character. We see Duncan lurking off of first there. No slide, but gets the long leg back in there before the tag could be applied. Tail end of it, getting those calls at the top of the zone. Brandon Dean picking up a strike call there. That brings the count to 1-1 on Herman.
Now, you talked about Dean not usually getting a lot of innings. Let's see how much is going to be expected of him by the Royals tonight.
Yeah, and pitch count obviously gonna dictate that. No one throwing. But there is a gentleman over there with a glove and ball. He's taken his warm-up off, so I don't know if maybe he's waiting for a catcher to get some gear on. Yeah, we see him in the pen there. Great job by our camera crew. That's 36 for Guelph, and the right-hander. Cardinals got runners on first and second. Still one out here in this bottom of 5.
They were looking to turn the double play before they had the first out on that one. Geraldo will see that in his sleep tonight. That ball was a routine double play. There was no question. Hit right at the shortstop. Little toss over and just nope. Maybe getting ready to throw before. Had possession of the ball. And what a costly error that is. That's going to prompt a visit to the mound. And this one is just, I think, a rallying cry for the pitcher. It's like, okay, look, you had a double play there. Routine play. It's all right. It happens. And now, of course, what the Cardinals
just saw the E5 when it was the other nickel, Trevor, laying down a bunt there that allowed an inning to continue. Obviously, whatever happened on the Carlos Dominguez stolen home attempt that eventually allowed him to come across here. Cardinals have been active tonight on the base paths. Brandon Dean still on the bump. Runners on first and second, despite him getting what should have been an inning-ending double play ball last pitch. And we'll see how he's able to battle back and rally himself here. Dean's into the game, not often a multi-inning pitcher, but is working multiple innings tonight.
Nobody warming in the Guelph bullpen, stretching, as you mentioned a few moments ago. Phantom kind of throwing out there, but so it's all Dean's right now.
Yeah, that throwing motion was less I'm getting ready to enter a baseball game and more like, sometimes like I'll practice my golf swing around the office. And you see that one hit up the middle, gets past the second baseman. That's going to allow one run to score in. Duncan is going to hold the other 2 runners at first and second, but the Cardinals get one back here. It is now 5-4 after an RBI single from Brandon Nickel.
Nice piece of hitting there by Nickel, who just slapped. Runners still at first and second, 1 run in. Barrero coming to the plate. And I said bookmark that error at second base. How big does that turn out here, and a chance for Cardinals to have a big inning?
I think that's for something for Brandon Nickel or Tyler Duncan on the run scored, because right away you saw Bernardo gesturing ball, ball, ball. So I wonder what that'll be for there. That's obviously a milestone ball one way or another for somebody there, but Nickel going to be happy about it. I'm sure the biggest thing he's concerned about right now is pulling the Cardinals a little bit time soon. Here's Dario Barrero up at the dish now. Still one out, still runners on first and second.
0-1 the count on him. He's grounded to second both times in the second and third.
And in the dirt there. Herman not running. Herman not being held too closely at second there. Obviously not a position you would necessarily expect to run in. But a bit of a healthy lead, or he did take one out of the game in the 5th inning.
And a 5-4 score, but it's been mostly sloppy play, yes. Although the pitchers do, listen, similar to the Blue Jays game the other night when Scherzer and Sanchez had that bad play in the outfield. It was a horrible play by Sanchez, there's no question. Jays fans know what I'm talking about. But Scherzer walked the bases.
Yep.
Same thing today. That was a bad play in the outfield, but Boone walked the bases.
Barrero golfing one into the shallow outfield, and that's going to drop despite hitting the glove of the shortstop. Nobody covering second, so that's going to allow everybody to advance 90 feet. Bases loaded, 1 out for the Cardinals here in the bottom of 5. Dario Barrero golfing one.
Runs are being scored in this game tonight or something else. No run coming in there, but now the base is loaded, and Reyes with a chance to really break this one open.
Randy Reyes watching strike 1 there.
Reyes 0 for 1, walked in the second, flied right back in the fourth.
Hit in the corner, low and away on the outside. The traffic in the Guelph pen is more than pantomimed throwing. They're actually throwing, but not anything too intense down there. Brendan Dean, exactly what the bare minimum of his job was there. Get this run in some way, somehow. The way he stands at the plate, you wonder how much of that did he get? But then as the run comes across to score, you see him just massive fist pump as he turns back towards the Cardinals dugout. He knew exactly what he needed to do, and that was tie up the ball game there.
He certainly did hit that ball deep enough to score easily, also allow the runner to go to third, so first and third, 2 out, and the Cardinals answering back here.
McGill up at the dish, left-hander facing a righty today as opposed to Liriano, who started the game as a lefty. It's Nickel on third, Barrero at first, McGill at the dish.
In the fifth.
Trying to see it here. McGill swinging over one. Brings count to 1 and 2.
McGill had a single back in the fourth.
Yeah, Deans wouldn't be happy about giving up the 2 in this, but boy, oh boy, would he love to get out of this jam right here.
That air. How big is that air?
Massive. McGill fighting one off into the screen behind home plate. Staying alive. Count continues at 1 and 2 here for the Cardinals.
See who comes out on top here.
Yeah, you also wonder about, obviously, huge importance to this game here. Barrero running. Throw his feint down to second, but he'll hold on to it. Picking up the extra 90 feet is Barrero.
Take what they'll give you. That's a smart move there, and a smart move by the catcher not to throw down to second, because you've got Nickel at third, and you know Nickel would have been racing down that third base line. There's already been enough goofy runs scored in this game. Wouldn't want another one there.
Yeah, speedy.
Us on Mondays at 8:30 p.m. Check out Breaking Pack here on Cable 14 to quench your thirst for cardboard addiction.
Go on, he's waiting for you. Go. Just go just this one time. He's a nice guy. He's not gonna hurt you.
Human trafficking doesn't always look violent. It often begins with trust, pressure, and debt. Crime Stoppers your answer. Anonymous and safe, always. 1-800-222-TIPS or crimestoppershamilton.com.
Welcome back in here to Bernie Arbor Memorial Stadium. Wild one here at the park tonight. A lot going on in this game. We've had 2 bullpen arms in the mix. We've had a lot of controversial plays.
How long Corey, as that one's fouled off, gets the Cardinal bullpen is up. And, I mean, look, all the games are big, right? But if you look at the weekend, and all the games are big. Let me say that again before I said this is the most important game of the weekend.
Yeah.
So if it means you're going to deplete the bullpen a little bit, you take your chances Saturday and Sunday. You got to win this ball game if you're Hamilton.
Yeah, there's also no guarantee of what lays ahead of you in those games, right? You could save your pen and all of a sudden not need it one way or another. You certainly want to take advantage of going for Hamilton there, so you have to imagine he'd be the next man up. Once you do get into the pen, you know, you can start to follow a little bit more of a game plan. But yeah, Luis Bernardo probably having to cover off a couple more innings than he would have expected with the way Owen Boone started this game and the way he was going coming into it. That one is hit hard by Connor Morrow. Deep to left field, all the way back and gone. That one is crushed over the left field fence. We talked about how hard it's going to be to hit balls out of here tonight, and he tattooed that one over the Denninger sign.
Just kept going and going and going. Left fielder took
thing you could have asked for there, and that's got to feel huge for Guelph. You know, you go ahead, you take the lead in a crazy top of 5, you give it right, or you shouldn't say you give the lead right back, but you give those runs right back away, and it's a tie game. To get back on top, the easiest way, well, not that it's an easy thing to do, but with one swing of a bat there from Morrow, got to feel huge for Guelph in this spot.
That gets the Cardinals bullpen going even a little bit more, as that was hit a long way by Morrow.
Long way. We'll see how Corey can regroup here. Attacking again, coming inside, but missing with ball 1. Brings the count to 1-1.
Leaders 0 for 2, grounded out and scored, though, in the 5th inning as part of that 4-run inning for Guelph.
See Corey again. The bit of a squat stance to the side as he gets the call. Or gets in the pen. He is, we talk about the characters on this Cardinals team. He is absolutely one of them. Always happy to crack a joke or chat before the game. And be all business, though, when he gets in the game one way or another here. He'll either be looking to put out a fire in this inning or hopefully working a clean top of the next one. Seems to be the plan here. With the righty, following the righty on the mound. Doesn't appear like they'd have him, you know, set for a lefty bat coming up or anything along those lines.
Yeah, have to pick your spots with the bullpen, but again, I reiterate, this is the game the Cardinals need to win this weekend, so Bernardo will not hesitate to use whatever it takes to get huge pitch indeed. You don't want things to unravel, and you want to get at least this inning out of Corey.
Well, and you know how big that is, and you know how big this game is. That was the beer batter, and you just struck him out, and I'm only mentioning it now. So
wow,
that's how big this is.
Well, you're focused on the playoff race.
I know, but I mean, normally I'm focused on the beer batter.
Well, normally I'm going down the stairs to kind of get in the lineup, so it's late in the season.
You could tell.
No more fooling around.
Everybody digging deep, doing what they need to at this time of
year.
And there is Corey. He would love to not fool around at all and get out of this inning here, picking up the first
tonight, because this is a big one.
Certainly is. Last time they lost 3 straight, it spurned them on a 6-game win streak following that. So, you know, I know they don't want the 3 straight losses, but if it means 6 straight wins are lurking around the corner, it just might, at this time of year, sign up for that deal there. 6 straight will go a long way, but obviously it has to start with now a comeback tonight after the homer that we saw in this inning.
6-game win streak with 7 games left in the season be pretty good, that's for sure.
Yeah, quite a heater heading into the postseason. And I think you'd feel pretty good about that 3rd spot all of a sudden. Go right over their heads and right in front of his face. But you know, I as a baseball watcher, you know, when Major League Baseball went away from the 1-game playoff, I'll be honest, it's like I didn't like it. Is it more fair? Yes. Is it more equitable? Yes. But what do we love in sports? A Game 7, right? But being a part of it, you know, following this league so closely and being around the teams, yeah, the idea of putting your sweat and guile into a full season, that's a tough play by Barrero. Knocks him down, but he's out of the inning. It's a good play by Barrero, and he steps on first to retire the 9-hitter in Patterson there, and now the Cardinals get to do it on the offensive side of things. But yeah, just to finish that point, Raj, the idea of a long season, the ups and downs, everything you pour into it, and you get on a bus for a road game and you may never play a home one again. Not exactly the way you would.
He made the playoffs, which is absolutely ridiculous. What's even the point of the regular season when you think it? But, you know, Brent, and it's no fault of anybody, but using this new playoff format this year, it could not have worked out worse. And it's just a matter of luck, circumstances, what have you. There has not been a playoff race whatsoever. The top 5 teams, we've known the top 5 teams basically almost from the get-go in this league. The seeding is still a factor for sure. But because the top 5 teams are so much better than the bottom 4, I keep reiterating, it's just unfortunate. I like it. I would imagine they would revisit that again next year. I don't know ultimately where they want to go with that. And, listen, it all depends. It's almost like some years a division is really, really crappy,
Right.
and then the next year the division is really, really good. It goes in cycles. So maybe next year, because what they were envisioning was a race for that fifth spot.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be exciting? And only the bottom two teams might fall out, and the seeding will still be important, and it just hasn't materialized as of now. But this
inning with the ball hit over his head. No fault of his. That one was hit a long, long way by Connor Morrow, but he gets to start things off here for the Cardinals. It's the bottom of 6. They trail Guelph 6-5. Brandon Deans continuing to work. Now, I mentioned he has not been a length guy typically for Guelph. There have been several multi-inning stints this year. The last one we saw out of him, he got the decision. Again, you and I are old school. We're talking pitcher wins here, Raj. He got the win, going 3 innings against the Panthers on August 1st, facing 10 batters total, striking out 2 of them, allowing just 2 hits. He also has had an outing against the Leafs, where he went 3 innings, allowing 3 runs earned on, all of them earned on 4 hits while striking out 5. So it can be a bit of a mixed bag as he works deeper and deeper into games. But Dean's
already had an extra inning game to start the weekend, and they've got another game tomorrow.
Now that's a really nice play by shortstop Gilbert until he throws it away. Garner's going to make the turn, and he's going to get himself into second there. We have talked about how sloppy play, defensive miscues, the not catching the ball that you want has really been such a key factor in this game. And Garner using the wheels after that one gets away from the first baseman. He finds himself standing on second.
I think there was enough of a doubt there that was going to be a base hit because Gardner's speed, the way you went down there, but the throw did get by, allowing him to go to second. So we'll have another look at it here. Hard hit ball, but he gets moving, took a wicked bounce right off the top, and he winds up at second base.
Yeah, from the outside looking in here, that is one where I think maybe both parties feel they could have done just a touch better there. I mean, that's a great pick by Gilbert at short, just to be able to get to that ball. But then the throw, if it's a little higher there, it's out of the dirt, a little easier play. But also, when your shortstop makes a play like that, you'd love to, even if you don't catch it cleanly, stop it from getting by you if you're Morrow at first. We see Nickel squaring to, I think partially it worked out so well for him last time with Nickel. I think you got the top of the order coming up here. You need now just one swing of the bat. I understand it. I generally speaking, like to give a guy a chance to swing away, but I understand it.
And Nickel is a good bunter, and you mentioned he bunted successfully for a sacrifice earlier in the game as well, but now the infield is drawn in. Changes the at-bat a lot.
Yeah, it certainly does. I mean, I suppose part of the thinking as well is that if there's a guy that is going to make this an incredibly, even if it is hit on the ground, even if it is hit at a fielder, it's going to be a tough play because of how, hard Dominguez can make. Brings up the second strike of the at-bat here, bringing it to 1-2 with 1 out. Garner standing on third. Tyler Duncan lurking in the on-deck circle.
The drone's doing a great job in it, if you ask me.
I imagine that thing's not easy to pilot. I play with these RC toy cars and my kids. Not easy to control those things, let alone when there's propellers and blades involved. That one's chopped, but it's going to not be hit hard enough to get the run in, and that allows a smart play by Gilbert. Walk the runner back to third, fire the strike over to first, and all of it.
That ground ball is probably an out anyway, and everything is easy in retrospect. And it is the bottom of the 6th inning. But Duncan hits a 2-run homer here. We'll forget about that one.
Oh, you'd look really smart if he did it too.
Oh,
and he takes strike 1 there. Does Duncan. You mentioned this team looking for a hero. It'd be a great time for them to find one here. They trail 6-5. We're in the bottom of 6 here at Bernie Arbor Memorial. It's Champ Garner standing on third. Duncan watching one high there, bringing the count to 1-1. Again, Brandon Dean's not typically a bulk guy, getting a big cut from Duncan, but unable to make contact. Now he's a strike away from getting out of the inning.
Yeah, Duncan missing that one shows you just seems the swings a tad off compared to last year in terms of the home runs. Still having a very productive season, don't get me wrong. Great ball player, great center fielder. But some of those leave the yard in previous years.
Yeah, they certainly do. We'll see if he gets a pitch to hit here. Dean staying a little bit away from him, throwing it high. That brings the count to 2-2. You got to be very. The strikeout numbers have been big for him this year, but obviously you know what he's capable of from a power perspective. Gets a piece of that one, fouling it off to stay alive.
Yeah, it's not just the home run hitting contest, which he has dominated the last 3 years. He has great power. Both bullpens now up and tossing. And we're at that stage of the ball game. Look, I mentioned this is a big game for Hamilton. Ditto for Guelph. We're trying to stay ahead of Barrie as well.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you know, not to get in a who's it bigger for contest, but trailing by 1 with 6-5 in the bottom of 6.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of games in hand, to be honest with you. I think it's a loss column that's more important when it comes down to Brent. And that's a ball 4 to Duncan. But, I mean,
yeah, it
hockey,
can be a good thing or a bad
points.
thing, right?
Right, exactly. Is it a good thing or bad? You have to play the game. You have to win. You don't get points like you do in hockey. You can't get a single point. Just
no loser points.
Right. So you have the extra game, and that necessitates another visit to the mound here.
So I wonder if he got the heads up that he was going to be next one way or another in this one. Darlin Herman will not be an easy task if this is the first batter he has to face. And we see Guelph, pretty long conversation out there. See Case continuing to throw. Great shot, little foreground and background action. See the umpire coming out here saying, what are we doing? You going to make up your mind? You going to let him pitch or not? And it does look like Deans will stay in the game for at least one more batter here. And that batter will be Darlin Herman.
On the
for both those teams as well. And yeah, obviously Guelph very aware of whatever Barrie's doing. Cardinals not out of the woods of worrying about them, but you know, if the Cardinals have designs of climbing out of that race between the 3 and 4 spot, Welland's the team they got to catch. So obviously a lot of eyes on that one from a Cardinals perspective as well.
Yeah, you'd wonder who to cheer for in a game like that.
Right.
You know, sometimes you have games like that, you're thinking, all right, you know what, Barrie, you lose, Barrie, and at least we don't have to worry about you. But then,
just ball 2, that brings the count to 2-1.
Mentioned the Red Sox up on the Maple Leafs 6-2. If they hang on and win that game, they will win that mini series. They wound up playing each other 3 times in a couple of days just because of rainouts. It wasn't scheduled that way, but felt like they were playing a playoff series.
Yeah, certainly did, and we will know that feel in these parts not too long as Herman hits. That's going to get past the third baseman. That's going to drive in Garner. Duncan going to make a little baby turn, but he's going to stay at second, and Darlin Herman rips a single, an RBI 1 at that, and that ties the game up at 6 here in Bernie Arbor. Hamilton home to Guelph tonight.
Huge hit for Herman. It said they needed a hero in the
decisions were nice and easy there. Duncan wasn't going to be advancing with that ball going into left field, or at least advancing to third. And then obviously Herman taking his base at first there after ripping the single. Garner coming across to score.
The game in Brantford has just gone final. To update that scoreboard again briefly, Red Sox winning 6-2, so the Red Sox wind up beating the Maple Leafs 3 straight times in their little mini series. And breaking news from that game tonight, Yasel Puig did not hit a home run.
Oh, weird.
When he does not hit a home run, it is breaking news. So he stays on 19 as he chases the single season record in the intercounty. So that one's a final. I mentioned London winning their game 5-0. That's in the books. This one obviously still going, and still in the bottom of the 8th in Barrie. Barrie leading Welland 3-2. So if Guelph,
36-year-old, basically exact same dimensions as Brandon Deans, a little older, but also 6'4", 230. That's a big boy on the bump. He is a 33-year-old out of St. John, and this is his 4th year in the CBL here. Much like Deans, not a guy that's expected to go multi-innings, but has even less experience than Deans does with that. In his last outing, also coming on August 18th, he went 2/3 of an inning, allowing 4 earned runs, 6 runs total on 4 hits. Well, much what he's given you. He has gone 2 on a couple of occasions this year, and somehow, despite pitching in a ton of games for the Royals this year, this will be his 19th appearance. None of them coming against the Cardinals, so it'll be a first time they get a look at him this year.
and in a key leverage situation, you know, it's funny, Brenton, you touched on it earlier, but to follow it up, we talk about what's a high leverage situation. We assume high leverage situations are always the 8th, 9th inning. Well, they are in a close ball game, But I was
when we see Brandon Nickel here, again, not your prototypical cleanup hitter. When you look on the other side of things at Garrett Takamatsu, that's more what you think of for this role. Nickel, really high average guy, does have some pop with doubles, but this has been a guy that's just kind of been, I would argue, maybe the most trusted hitter for the Cardinals this year. Darlin Herman absolutely has a case to make for that as well. But Nickel, obviously a guy they trust to be a good situational hitter, as well as an ability to drive in runs, or they wouldn't be putting him in that spot.
Nickel 1 for 2, drove in a run. You know, the CBL will have a look, as they should. You always should be reviewing your product. First year of a professional designation about the playoff format. I think they need to have and I say this in the kindest way possible. I'm a huge fan of this league and enjoying doing the games. There are a lot of long games in this league. And now people are used to the quicker pace of Major League Baseball, and you're trying to attract a younger generation of fans. I think it's something you've got to be cognizant about.
Yeah, and it is funny, depending on who you see, and that ball is a good job block it. If players want to prepare themselves or, you know, replicate Major League Baseball as best they can, the idea of a pitch clock or just moving things along certainly could be a play. And, you know, I like the way you mentioned that, Raj. It doesn't matter what your business is. You should always be thinking about ways to improve it. That's what the best leagues do. That's what the best businesses do. You know, you and I, we got jobs. I think we're always thinking about how we can be better at them. So, yeah, it makes all the sense in the world that you constantly be reviewing and thinking about these things.
And look, I don't think a pitch clock is something the league should do. It's an expensive process. It's a difficult thing to institute. But you do want to move the games along. And that's my point. And if these player.
Not an easy guy to strike out. That strands a couple of runners, and we will see who comes onto the mound for the Cardinals here. And before we do that, though, always got to say thank you to our friends at Little Caesars, taking care of our crew here, getting us fed before the broadcast. Shout out to them. Look at that wheel. That is a good looking pizza. And check them out, Little Caesars Pizza, 280 Queenston Road there. Get those, that's my pizza. Get your hands off of it. I have always loved them. Got one right around the corner from my house. Not the 280 Queenston Road location, of which you should go to. Territory to give yourself a chance. You know, the way this game has gone with the ebbs and flows here, feels like you're looking for the first reliever to really kind of find a groove. Could go a long way of deciding this ball game.
Well, the standings being as tight as they are, Brent, basically we're at a stage, and the ball game being tight as it is, 6-6 here in the top of the seventh inning. There are no low leverage situations left, either tonight or in this season. And the Cardinals need their bullpen to be much better than it's been in the last few games until he got hit pretty hard last time out. Somebody has to be the guy, and it doesn't have to be the traditional closer. They've just got to be better late in games, because especially when the games are tight. Look, early in the year, they didn't have to worry about that. The run differential was the story in the first part of the season. Remember, we were talking about that constantly. Right. It was ridiculous. Now, every game is a one-run game.
See the Sorosky there starting off exactly the way you'd like with a first pitch strike. It did come in a loss, but he was nails his last time out in 1 1/3 inning, facing 5 batters, peering over the tan glove. Right-hander. It's a foul back to the screen. Brings up the second strike of the at-bat, Sorosky.
And further to the length of the games, a lot of it has to do with, not enough good pitching some nights in the league. And we saw it the other night, Brantford beating Toronto 22-18. I told you I was watching that game online. I think the 9th inning took an hour.
Just searching for somebody to get it out.
Can somebody come into this game and get 3 outs?
The answer more times than not has been no. And bullpen, obviously, full count for Sorosky. But, you got to find the right mix of guys back there. You have to find the right leverage arms. And, that'll be a challenge for Bernardo, like it will be for a lot of managers in this league over the last stretch of the regular season. That one is skied to left field. Very similar spot to where Nickel and Garner got mixed up earlier. But guess what? Nickel just didn't go out there this time. I don't know if they talked about it. I guess it was a touch.
Oh, they talked about it.
No problem there.
They talked about it, Brent. I guarantee you they talked about it. That had to stop. Twice we saw infielders going into territory where it is not their ball. Just
low and away, starting with ball 1 there. But yeah, you're right. This is all about a part of it, communication, and if you want to win, and this team absolutely has eyes on that. The cleaner brand of baseball, especially if you do struggle to find some pitching at the back end of games. You know what you don't want to do? Make them get 4 or 5 outs in an inning. You got to take the ones that are available to you there. So good job of cleaning that up between Garner and Nickel.
Some things go out of style, over the years. Fundamental baseball never goes out of style, whether you're a 1,000% analytics person or more old school. It's the basics. The game is hard to play. It's even harder when you don't follow the fundamental.
It certainly is. And, Raj, it's music to my ears. I told you I'm coaching the children now. I'm on the diamond all the time. I was on the diamond last night. Fall ball season starting soon. And, you can hit. That's all well and good. You should want to work on hitting on your own time. When you're with me, the fundies, baby. Monday, so I'll report back next Friday. How about that?
Boy, I'll tell you, you sound like a taskmaster out there. Oh, my goodness.
You gotta, I had wonderful baseball coaches growing up. I think of I'll just give a shout out here. John Solarski, a Jeff Crew. These guys schooled it into me, and now I'm just passing along wisdom. That's what you're supposed to do. At least that was my understanding.
100%, especially when you got young kids like you do, Brent. So good on you.
Here's Sorosky, 3-2 pitch. Picking up a strike on the outside corner. Unhappy.
But the pitch before was nowhere near the strike zone. That's what Gilbert probably is saying to the umpire, is shouldn't have got to this stage. Yeah, that was a good pitch for the strike 3, but big strikeout though, and Sorosky looking pretty good.
Yeah, massive spot for him here as he gets to the meat of the Guelph order. 3 and 4 hitters coming up after he safely dispatched 1 and 2. And quite frankly, he'd love nothing more than to not see Takamatsu in this inning at all. Cleanup hitter, number 4 for Guelph, lurking in the on-deck circle. Sorosky working quickly here, throwing ball 1. Going right back to that spot. Very confidently and quickly here is the Cardinals righty, 25-year-old.
Showing a lot of poise right around the strike zone.
That's what was so effective for Boone earlier in this game, right? Just attacking. That one not really close, bringing the count to 2-2.
Well, it's maybe fundamental is not the right word, but a fundamental concept of pitching is obviously throwing strikes and getting ahead on the count. Every hitter has to be more defensive. He's behind on the count.
Ain't that the truth? And you see that one there. Not a pitch he would have liked to if he can get out of this inning here, as that one is once again, good job fighting pitches, stay alive here. Slashed away foul, and we'll do it all again at 2-2.
Brent, the Hamilton Cardinals, are a tradition, and it's wonderful for the community. But for a 42-year period, this franchise had losing seasons for 40 years. How this team with Eric and Anna have turned around and become one of the best teams in the league is an absolute tremendous accomplishment.
Yeah, totally is. And speaking of tremendous accomplishments there, Caleb Sorosky gets him fishing on a breaking ball. Cardinals here. And man, you want to talk about tense moments. We're getting to that point in the ball game for sure right now as we see Caleb Sorosky, who's got to be feeling pretty good after a lights out, a top of 7 from him.
Excellent inning for Sorosky, and that's great news. We mentioned the Cardinals bullpen has to be better, and that was a perfect inning for sure. He looked like great stuff. And this is a massive game for sure. We keep talking about it, but the team separated by a half game. If the Cardinals' game lead on Barrie was 6 to play, in other words, they could feel fairly comfortable, not to jinx them, Brent, that they would be a top 3 team, without question. And the standings reflect the importance of this game. And listen, for most of the season, Hamilton was challenging for a pennant. That's not going to happen. London winning tonight, so they're going to have at least a 4-game lead, and the Cardinals will only have 6 games to play. And Welland, 3 games up on Hamilton as well. But, man, that 3-hole for this year and this team and this franchise, massive. You've got at least 3 home games coming up in the next round. So it's a big one tonight, and the rest of the season are all big games as well, and entertaining baseball.
Yeah, massive moment here, and, massive decision for Guelph lurking around the corner. Andrew Case did a good job getting out of the end of that inning there, but as I mentioned, this is not a guy that is often working multiple innings. You're going to have to push people to places that maybe they wouldn't expect to be in, but also you don't want to play with fire losing a game that could be winnable here, so it'll be very interesting to see how they handle this. This is in all sports, certainly loving it in the CBL right now.
And it's breaking news from the scoreboard, the Barrie Baycats have defeated Welland tonight 4-2, so Barrie is staying right in that mix with that victory. And you talk about a big win for the Baycats, that temporarily moves them right in a half game back of Guelph. So a Guelph loss tonight will knock Guelph back into 5th place. It is going to be tense down the stretch. 4-2 the final there.
Yeah, still one more game between these two teams left in the season. That one will be in Guelph as we see Case picking up a swinging strike to start things off. First baseman that had so much action from their pen last night. You do wonder, just seeing pitches, how beneficial that becomes late in the game here.
Well, the advantage bullpen-wise figures to be Hamilton's tonight for sure. They are fresher after Guelph played a 12-inning game last night. No doubt. And I keep saying, of these 3 games this weekend for Hamilton, this is the most important.
Barrero is able to hold back. That one running way up and inside on him. And as I've mentioned, it's way up there. They throw it up and inside on Barrero. Another one coming up here, and I just got to say, like Andrew Case, he's got the tattoos, got the burly build. If he's looking for something to do when baseball's done with him, he could have a future in that. Him and Barrero, just a couple of big boys in general up there. It's a lot of man in this pitching matchup here.
Maybe they want to take part in the promotion then.
Maybe.
That would be a good way to do it, I think, wouldn't it?
Great way.
Kind of fun. Have
Break
current
in.
players involved in that.
Break into it. Barrero swinging over the top of one. The Case picking up a strikeout to start off this bottom 7.
Big strikeout. Reyes heads to the dish. He's 0 for 1 tonight, but did walk and also had that big sacrifice fly in the 5th inning.
That's all I could think of watching him come up here. I love guys who know what their job. First half of the season, starting third baseman in that game. Good breaking ball from Case there, finding the zone. Reyes with the take.
Now the obvious is get on base, get something started in this inning.
Yeah, the high fly ball does him no good.
No, that would not be a good situational play to fly out to right field at this time of the game.
I think he knows that, though. I don't think we're breaking any news.
I bet you he does. I bet you he does.
1-2 here. Case working into this. Again, not often a multi-inning guy, but everybody's going to get a little out of their comfort zone, you'd have to think, in the past.
Sorosky certainly capable of multiple innings. Didn't throw very many in that last inning. That's a good start. But who he now feels is the guy he's most comfortable with in such an important ballgame.
Reyes fighting one off at his shins there, keeping it at 1-2. Now, to that point, we do have Frazee Sadames. He's taken off his warm-up and looks like he's going to start doing some throwing down there. So if that's any indication, but I got to be honest, given the way Sorosky looked.
Situation, and he struck out 3 guys in a row.
He was just shoved here and pretty.
Situation, and he struck out 3 guys in a row.
He was just shoved here and pretty good start to the at-bat against McGill, picking up a strike 1. See it. There it is. Not happy about it, but it is a strike 2 on McGill.
Fans not happy about it either as count goes to 0-2. So London has won tonight. Barrie has won tonight. Welland has lost this evening.
For the final 2 innings, possibly more here on Cable 14 Friday Night Baseball.
Get ready to blast the past with Retro Game Time. Watch as gamers from around Hamilton battle it out in the ultimate retro gaming showdown. Who will outplay, outlast, and be crowned the ultimate retro?
These days at your local Legion, we're marching to the beat of a different drum. On a mission to support veterans, to have fun, and to welcome everyone to our ranks. You don't have to be a veteran to join the Legion. And as a member, you'll join thousands of others serving our veterans, our communities, and our country. Oh yeah, and our Member Perks program will save you thousands on shopping, dining, products, and services across the country. Join us at legion.ca.